The Survey Corps versus the Marley Titan assault continues. So what's up guys, Foxen here. Time to delve further into the latest Attack on Titan chapter 103. And yes, this is a follow-up discussion video. Be sure to check out the original breakdown, then bounce back here. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. The first topic I want to bring up is Reiner and Falco. It turned out Reiner did that partial Titan transformation last minute. There's a few takeaways from this, which also involves Eren. Before all of this, they were having that discussion down below. That lasted for a good while before Eren brought the building down. In other words, imagine what would have happened to these guys if Reiner didn't react quickly. This just means Eren didn't give any fracks at all. Whether Falco died, Reiner died, although I'm sure he knew Reiner was going to survive this. As for how both of these guys survived, you got that flower-looking hunting, which a lot of people think is symbolism for the upcoming birth or possible transfer, if you will. The very popular theory right now is that Falco will become the new Armored Titan. Let me know where you stand on this. I personally don't have anything against it. I just question how this would realistically happen in this freaking war zone. I mentioned before how Isayama did make the powers possible to transfer. However, he made them in such a way that you cannot pull off that last minute power transfer cliche, like you've seen in other anime series. So I'll tell you what, if you're for Reiner transferring the powers, go ahead and give me a detailed scenario of how this will happen. Although don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's not possible later on, just not right now. Next up, can we just have some stallion appreciation? I mean, my god, after reading this in high quality, Jean was actually a freaking total badass this chapter. He finally got a chance to get a payback on the card Titan. Let's just hope Jean sticks around so we can see more of this. On the receiving end, however, we have Peak. Let me touch on her. I'm pretty sure in this chapter, throughout the battle, Peak was questioning to herself what Zeke was up to beforehand. This was especially going on even up to the final moments before she got taken out. You could just see it on her face. Peak has figured it out. In some ways, Zeke has backstabbed them. And yes, that leads us into one of the main topics. Zeke and the scouts are working together. This chapter had way too many suspicious lines from Zeke, not to mention how the events played out. If this chapter doesn't make it completely obvious, I'm not sure what would. I guess the only thing left would be Zeke just coming out and saying it himself. But before delving deep into this, let me say this. I've seen a handful of surprising comments in the last chapter video breakdown. People seem outright super pissed at me just mentioning the idea that Zeke and the scouts could be working together. I don't think this applies to 99% of you watching, because most of you are fine with people having different views and opinions. But really, if you get angry at someone just mentioning a theory that you don't like, you really gotta chill the hell out. Totally fine if you don't disagree, but don't get physically mad. That's just silly. I am thinking about doing a full follow-up video just on this topic alone. That'll be a complete breakdown of every single reason about this. And just keep in mind, I'm not saying that Zeke will 100% turn on Marley, but the chances are over 50%. Way over. Anyway, let's delve into Zeke's betrayal. Reading this chapter, there are a mountain of hits. Some are valid and others are actually questionable. For the questionable stuff, I am talking about some of the lines from the fan and official English translation. You'll see what I mean. Anyway, Zeke's betrayal of Marley. Let's go down the list for stuff in this chapter alone. First off was Zeke going down way too easily. Yes, Levi has turned him into sushi before, but this was beyond that. I think even if you don't buy Zeke working with the scouts, this shit looks suspicious. This whole thing screams two things. Either one, bad writing, or two, something shady is going on here. The whole events leading up to this seemed way too scripted. To start off, some people have been bringing up the point about how Levi made this vertical slash on the Beast Titan's neck. When I heard this, I was like, what? But in the past, Levi has done different techniques to slice Titans. If he was going in for the kill, or to kill Zeke specifically, doing this vertical slash seems weird. Almost as if he's giving Zeke a chance to escape. To be fair, I don't completely buy this, but putting it out there. Another thing about this chapter was just to notice the whole emphasis about them talking about time. Why was time so important? In the last chapter it was brought up briefly. In this chapter, Jean specifically brings it up. And yes, even in the original version, they do have time in quotes. Moments later, you then have Zeke bringing up the fact that time is almost up. Keyword here being time. Which, by the way, the line was a little different in the English translation. I actually think the fan translation is better, but I still don't think it's completely right. Zeke's original line here was, "Jikan ga nai daro," which is closer to, there's not much more time, is there? Either way, the emphasis here is on time, which in the same panel is then followed by a shot of Levi looking at a freaking watch. This right here should scream out very suspicious. Levi was definitely waiting for that keyword. Other things to consider from the Beast this time is how the Beast didn't kill any scouts at all this time. Sure, he was aiming for them, but really after killing all the scouts last time, this time he couldn't even get one kill in? That seems super strange. To be fair, there were a couple of scouts that just went in for the kill against the Beast. For this, I'm assuming that not all the scouts got told of the plan. Some of the lower ones probably just got told to ignore the Beast. And you saw what happened, because they didn't follow instructions, they ended up dying. Back to Levi though. You have Levi doing the vertical slash, and then he throws a bomb in there. I mean, why? For what purpose? The giant monkey was already down, he could have barbecued him. You gotta see it too. If Levi really wanted to kill Zeke, he could have easily done it with the blaze. Bring his head back. It would have been that easy. But no, instead you have Levi chucking a bomb in there, going for the overkill. At least that's what it looks like to everyone else. But I'm sure this was just a diversion for Zeke to get away. That way you have Marley thinking that Zeke is dead. Another thing you should notice, and I know some people will bring it up, is just the expression on Levi's face. Look at that. Would Levi look like that if he was getting revenge for Erwin? To me, that screams more of a face saying, damn it, I have to team up with this bastard. Levi looks freaking disgusted. And I know, some people are going to bring up the promise that Levi made to Erwin to kill the Beast Titan. But think about it, Levi is a pretty rational person. He wouldn't like it, but he would definitely put Paradise Island above his own motives. If the scouts have met with Zeke, they already know that he's going to die anyway. But don't get me wrong, it's not like Levi forgave Zeke. Levi is definitely going to keep a very close blade to Zeke's neck. The possibility of Levi killing Zeke later on is still very much here. As for other things to notice about Zeke in this chapter, in the previous chapter and this one, Zeke's clothes are never shown. And yes, this may be a little bit of a stretch, but let's hear this out. Compare this to Peak. You know what she looks like inside of her Titan. But for Zeke, you only see his face. Could it be because Zeke is possibly wearing the new Survey Corps uniform? It would make it easier to get away. Think about it, it is possible. Another key thing to notice about Zeke is just all the stuff he's been saying. Zeke has been saying a bunch of lines this chapter, but they're all out loud. Whatever happened to Zeke's inner monologue? You get the thoughts of all key players in this Titan War, except for Zeke. Really? No thoughts from Zeke this whole freaking time? How interesting that one of the smartest characters in this series doesn't think of anything at all. As for the lines that Zeke actually says out loud in this chapter, I think a lot of them do have double meaning here. Although for one specific page, I don't agree with the translations at all. One important shot is where the Beast Titan says that Eren Yeager is not his enemy. This by itself was pretty suspicious the first time reading it. And yes, the official English translation has the same line. I had to look at the Japanese version just to double check this. In the original, he doesn't exactly say enemy. The word he uses is teki. Teki can mean enemy, but it also can mean opponent or rival. Just considering the context and then him referring to Levi afterwards, I think opponent would have been much more appropriate here. In other words, Eren Yeager is not my opponent. If Zeke is going to betray Marley, then saying something like Eren Yeager is not my enemy? That just seems too on the nose, way too obvious. In the following page, you then have the Beast saying, too bad that it's you, come out Levi. The line about it being you? That by itself seems like a double meaning, him probably referring to Marley. Except let me just mention it that this fan translation is wrong. The original line here was, Mazu wa omae karada. The official version for this is right. In other words, Zeke here is just saying how he's going to start off with Levi. I don't think there was any additional double meaning here. At least none that was implied in the wrong translation. Anyway, that was a mountain of evidence that Zeke is about to betray Marley, at least from this chapter. Is there anyone really out there that doesn't think this whole situation just seems way too suspicious? At the minimum, you should at least have a 10% chance of Zeke turning. Anyway, changing gears, let's bring up the WarHammer. First off, now you could actually get a great quality picture of Eren trying to bite the Tiber crystal. And wow, look at it. Imagine how hard Eren was trying to bite the hell out of it. His Titan face is gone. Forget about visiting the Titan dentist. Your chompers disappeared. For the actual WarHammer, also known as the Tiber sister, she is done. The official translation for this offers more insight. Eren goes ahead and talks about how she could have destroyed the neck with that WarHammer tree move. That is, if only she had more energy. Thankfully, Eren managed to get hard last minute and shielded himself from being penetrated by the WarHammer. The line about low energy? That was not Eren talking about himself. He was referring to the WarHammer. Which, to be fair, it is Eren's own thoughts about the situation. He could be wrong. Right now, the Tiber sister seems to be in this Titan crystal state. I'm wondering, are you allowed to recover energy while like that? Either way, I don't see another full WarHammer coming out. Meanwhile, Eren looks like he's full of energy. He just took a full espresso shot. As for Eren's possible trump card, which is closer to the original line, I see a few possibilities for this. For starters, Eren could have been referring to himself. In other words, being able to go into Titan mode a few more times. After all those 4 years, Eren has been building up his Titan stamina. Another possibility for Eren himself could be bringing out the Founding Titan. What I'm talking about is a different Titan that looks different from the Attack Titan, just in case, like a backup. I don't see it being physically strong, but if you don't have anything else, why not? The second option includes possibilities for Eren outside of himself. Eren could be referring to something to do with Hanji. Hanji is still missing. No doubt that Hanji is still going to play some major role in this fight. And I'm actually getting pretty excited just thinking about the possibilities that Hanji could drop on them. And then you know the other option. Eren could be talking about a new player coming in, aka Annie. The female Titan could come in last minute on their side. But at this point, talk about overkill if she really shows up. Then at some point, Armin needs to show that blonde Colossal Titan. Sure, Armin is pretty busy right now, but there is a chance he may come in close by last minute. This could be part of the Survey Corps' escape plan. Let me briefly also touch on that mystery Girl Scout. You've seen her now in 2 chapters. Supposedly the popular theory right now is that this is the one that Mikasa saved way back in Trost. To be honest, I'm not completely convinced here, although it would be a fun idea if this really turned out to be true. I mean, back then she was like 10, 11? 4 years later she would be Scout age. If this does turn out to be true, hopefully they do have some moment between her and Mikasa. Another question to bring up is, who dies? You saw how this wrapped up with Jean coming in at the end. Perhaps switching to blades is not an option? At this point, it seems that everyone expects Jean to die next chapter. You're gonna have Gabi or Margath shoot Jean. So, is the stallion officially dead? I think that it is possible, but it seems way too obvious. Instead, I see either Jean getting seriously hurt, but not dying, or some other scout is gonna come in and get hurt by it. It could be Levi, Connie, or the one that let Gabi go, Sasha. Or here's another possibility. Gabi shoots but misses and then hits Falco on accident. This then opens up the possibility for Falco taking Reiner's Armor Titan. The next chapter for this is dropping more or less on April 7th, that date being the stallion's birthday. So, is Isayama gonna kill Jean on his birthday? I don't know. That'd be pretty fracked up. Either way, Isayama has confirmed someone dying. So far, there has been this Shinigami working on this battlefield. Death in particular has been too kind to the Survey Corps' side. Are they really gonna escape this without a key scout dying? Or at the very minimum getting super hurt? As for what should happen next, I do see there being a lot more to the Attack on Titan story. This means at least one more arc with around 20 chapters. For the scouts, this means time to retreat as soon as possible. Take the crystal, just have Eren swallow the damn thing, and don't choke on it. Someone else also have to capture Reiner. He's super free for the taking. Mikasa is about to give that sushi treatment to the jaws. And then Jean, come on, please stop. Someone help him capture Peak instead. On the flip side, what is going to happen to Marley after this horrible loss? I think this goes back to what I brought up in my original breakdown. Let's say that Survey Corps and Paradise Island get out of this extremely fine. Everything goes according to plan. At worst for them, one person is shot, but no major player is dead. And for the moment, forget about Zeke. Of course, this doesn't look like a great way to tell a story. It definitely wouldn't be something you see coming out of Isayama. Except, how about if he does it like this? Isayama mentioned how Paradise Island would be seen as the villains to the world. He's trying really hard to show that. At least to the Marley Nation, these scouts are very much those devils they've been told about. Regardless of whether it was justified or not, Eren did pull something similar to what the Warriors did back in episode 1. That was right when Wall Maria came crashing down. Sure, not totally the same situation, but there are a good amount of similarities. As the scouts try to escape Marley, there could be more destruction of their nation. I could see there being 1 or 2 more nukes to destroy and wipe out more of Marley's forces. You then have the Warhammer, Peak, Jaws, and the Beast. All of these Marley Titans are about to be captured or killed by the Survey Scouts. Ultimately, this then follows by Levi and the Scouts retreating back to Paradise Island. Now the important question comes out. What happens to Marley then? Marley would have just suffered a devastating blow to their military. They also now have no Titan shifters. These would have been the ones they relied on for war all this time. At this point, the surrounding nations, also known as the enemies of Marley, would have taken notice. These nations don't know the exact details, but their world leaders just got killed in this Tiber festival. For them at this point, who cares? This one superpower nation is now totally defenseless. So this is where I could see Isayama taking the story. Marley would have experienced something similar to Paradise Island when Wall Maria came down. Initially, a good chunk of people died at the start, but then by extension, hundreds of thousands of people died in the following mission to reclaim Wall Maria. For Marley, the extra damage is going to come from the second wave of attacks, and they're not going to be from the scouts. I see Marley potentially getting totally wiped out. Meanwhile, for the current Eldians, they could be sent to other nations. These Eldians would then be forced to join a follow-up invasion towards Paradise Island. The interesting part about this scenario is that Isayama could show this happening super quickly too in the manga. I guess history does in fact repeat itself. Unfortunately for Marley, they're back up to the receiving end of this again. But anyway, that is a Titan possible theory. More important, let me hear from you. Is the Beast Titan really dead? Or did the events in this chapter finally confirm Zeke's betrayal? Does anyone honestly think that Levi killed him? Let's not forget about the Tiber sister. Is she officially out of juice? Or can Miss Tiber get her hammer up one more time? Also, the Armor Titan. What's going to happen to Reiner? Are you on the side of Falco becoming the new one? Or is Eren about to bring back a second souvenir with him? Post a comment below with your thoughts on all of this. If you made it to the end, definitely give us a colossal thumbs up and subscribe. A lot more Attack on Titan videos are coming. And yes, there'll be a full Zeke breakdown too. By the way, Isayama just did a few Q&A sessions where he dropped a lot of juicy info. This was about the older Eren, Levi, Erwin, and the original Colossal Titan. Check that out and I'll see you guys later.